My name is Juhui and I am 40 years old. I recently had a miscarriage at 9 weeks and I'm currently actively trying to get pregnant. After having a miscarriage, actually this was my second miscarriage. I had a chemical pregnancy before, and I know chemical pregnancy is not clinically considered a pregnancy because the implantation part never happened. So after losing a pregnancy for the second time, I decided to see a fertility doctor like immediately. Although I do not have necessarily infertility problem because I was able to get pregnant naturally. The fact that I am 40 years old and soon to be 41, and the fact that I had a miscarriage were enough reasons for me to seek fertility treatment. I didn't want to take a chance anymore because I am afraid of a recurrent miscarriage. In general, having a one miscarriage doesn't mean that you are going to have another one. That's very unlikely unless you are 40 years old or older. If you have a miscarriage, it's not just that you're losing a pregnancy, but you're also losing valuable time where you could have tried to get pregnant. And if you are at my age and not being able to try at all for a few months, is a big loss. I did not want to waste any time, so I booked an appointment with a fertility doctor. My hope was that I could expedite the process. Unfortunately, for the last 2 months, my experience has been quite frustrating. To cut to the chase, I haven't started any fertility treatment yet. And all I've done for the last 2 months was test and more test. Let me explain. When I saw a fertility doctor after my miscarriage, she saw a cyst on one of my ovaries, and it wasn't small, so the doctor said the cyst is pretty big and it doesn't look like it's gonna go away on its own, so she ordered me to do a pelvic ultrasound to examine the cyst better. There are different varieties of cyst apparently, and depending on which kind of cyst you have, you might need a surgery, you might need to remove the cyst, or you might need to remove the entire ovary. And the tricky part is if you have a cyst that is benign, that is not cancerous, and if you try to get pregnant naturally, it might not impose a big risk on your pregnancy. But if you want to take fertility medications, now it's a different story. What fertility treatments do is to stimulate your ovary as much as you can. Even if you don't have a cyst, you might develop a cyst after long fertility treatment. And if you already have a cyst, it could really stimulate that cyst too. So the bottom line is, if you have a concerning cyst, and on top of that, if you want to start a fertility treatment, you are gonna have to sort that cyst out before anything. So I did my pelvic exam, pelvic ultrasound, and the doctor now want me to do a MRI, which is a very expensive imaging. And I was kind of taken aback because if she needed an MRI, I wonder why she didn't ask for an MRI in the first place. I tried to get an answer from the doctor as to why this MRI is necessary and what we can expect from going through this imaging and what's the timeline look like. And this doctor could not give me any answers on any of this. So to me, it was kind of a warning sign. And the reason that I chose this clinic was because it was very close to my home. So I thought it would be convenient to go there. But then after the initial consultation and after communicating back and forth, I realized that I can't really work with this person because it seems like I was left without answers at every stage, and she doesn't seem to grasp the urgency that I have or that I feel as a 40-year-old trying to conceive. So I looked for a new fertility doctor. This time I found a doctor in Manhattan, and to get to that clinic, it takes me an hour. each way. So definitely it's not ideal, but I realized that it's really important to find the right doctor, especially with the fertility issues. Even though it means that I need to get on a bus and go to the city a few times a week, it is something I just need to do. And with this new doctor, things are moving along much faster. And the best thing about this clinic so far has been that the doctors seem to understand my needs, and they seem to understand that I'm in a rush because I'm 40 years old, soon to be 41. He was quick to evaluate, yet take all the necessary steps to ensure that we are rolling out everything and we are doing everything in the right way without skipping any steps. And I actually just got off the phone right before I filming this video with the nurse at the fertility clinic, and it looks like we are going to move forward. The one major factor that slowed us down the entire time was the cyst on my ovary, and now that it looks like the cyst will be okay, I can start fertility treatment without removing the cyst. So that's really a big relief. I was initially thinking about trying on IVF just to make sure that I get pregnant. But after consultations and after considering all the factors, we decided to move forward with an IUI with injections. One of the main reasons for miscarriage is the chromosome abnormality. In order to rule that out, there are two options you can do. First, you can do the IVF treatment, and you do the genetic testing on the embryo before they implant the embryo into your uterus. You will only implant embryos that have the normal chromosomes. It's gonna be expensive, but it is a solution. The other way to prevent a miscarriage due to the chromosome abnormality is that you have more than one egg. With the help of fertility medications, let's say if you ovulate 3 eggs, not 1, 2 out of 3 embryos have abnormal chromosomes, then you still have 1 egg with normal chromosomes. Then that embryo will be a viable pregnancy. It's a numbers game. And what happened to the other 2, it's called like a vanishing twins. When you are pregnant with twins and let's say one of the embryos stop growing, then it will just vanish and it doesn't affect the other embryo. It's not as definite as doing an IVF and doing a genetic testing, but it's also not as expensive and not as invasive. Also, considering that I have a cyst, I shouldn't really do too much stimulation on my ovary anyway. It seems like doing an IVF would be kind of an overkill for me. One of the reasons people want an IVF as opposed to IUI would be because they can potentially have more eggs and more embryos, and they can freeze them and have a second child or third child down the road whenever they are ready. If having more than one child is a goal, then definitely IVF should be the way. For me, I think 1 child is great. If it's 2, that would be wonderful, but I don't really have the preference, and I don't want to go out of my way to ensure that I will have 2 children. So I'll keep you posted how it goes. In the meantime, if you find this video helpful and comforting, make sure to subscribe to this channel because I'm just starting my fertility journey and there will be more videos like this coming soon to my channel. So thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.